Slaves with the Senior Pickleball Report, powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Today we interview Eva Welsher. She has been ranked number 1 in the world, women's and mixed doubles for the senior division. And she played D1 tennis at Northwestern. She has also been somebody who excels at paddle tennis, so racket sports just seem to run through her blood. And today we're talking to her. She had a great start to the season. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about the newly formed National Pickleball League, which she's going to be part of, and a whole bunch more. But first, if you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Check out our socials. Check out our merch page as well. Also, if you need a new paddle, Just Paddles. If you're looking for a new paddle that's on the market, brand new on the market, check out PCKL Pickle. There's a discount in the description. And if you're looking for footwear, Fitville, again, check out the link in the description. Most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. All right, now to our interview with Eva. Hey, welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, Eva.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you. I thought we'd start off really with, I don't think you could probably start off 2023 better than a win, you and Jose in Punta Gorda. So talk a little bit about that. And I talked to him. I interviewed him a few days ago. His video is actually up with his interview. And he talked about some of the chemistry you had as far as personality on the court goes and the way you guys kind of communicate. So talk about your win and talk about how you guys kind of mix as a partnership.
Yeah, well, I played with Jose before, and we didn't have a lot of opportunities because I committed pretty early in the year to a few other people, predominantly Scott Moore. So he was just kind of filling in, and we just had good chemistry. We're both, loud, and we're both high-spirited people. So it was like I fed off him,
Yeah.
and if anything, I was the quieter one, which usually I'm the louder one in my partnerships. Yeah. So we're going to play I think 4 or 5 this year. And I was super excited because he, like I said, I told him at the end, I said, we were down 10-4 or 10-5 in that last tiebreaker set. And I said, after we won, I said, I'm never going to quit. I said, and I know you're never going to quit. And he never got down on me. I didn't get down on him. And we just just kind of clawed ourselves and just dug in and just said, we're going to do it. And to have a partner that, is all in, no matter what the score is really huge.
Absolutely. And when I saw that you two were playing together, I knew energy-wise there wasn't going to be obviously any issue at all.
No,
it is
God.
it is on the senior level. I don't know if there's more of a pairing like that to put together than the two of you, and to see you come through and win against a very, very good team. In the finals. Yeah.
Yeah. I have respect for all the seniors. I always go in knowing that, nothing is a guarantee. Everybody is so talented. And I just try to play the ball and not the people. And obviously I know what's going on the other side, but I just try to do my thing. And if I play to my best of my abilities and lose, I'm actually okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just don't want to go out saying I left something on the court or I didn't give it 100%. That's just not acceptable,
Right. Yeah. And, you bring up something interesting about playing the ball, which I think is a really great approach. Is it tougher because it seems to me, and I talked to Jose about this, that, the senior tour, the champions tour, you guys seem to be pretty close. You guys all compete very hard, and you grind out matches, and you're there all day, and you're hanging out in the players' tent, and it seems like you're friends. So is it tougher to do that sometimes, to just play the ball when the person and probably their life a little more, and you know their personality and you know their game inside out on some levels. Is it tougher for you to do that against people you know that well?
Um, there's a couple like guys that really like tug on my heart, that I really like,
Yeah.
and but remember, I mean, pretty much the top players come from tennis backgrounds
Yeah.
and are true competitors. And I expect nothing less than my opponents to be professional and do their job. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it is a
Yeah.
job, it is. And they expect the same of me. And everybody has bad days, but
Sure.
it's not because they don't want to perform. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that we respect each other to know that, hey, you know what? Bring it all, and
Right.
whoever wins, wins. And I do think the NPL has really brought us together more because
Yeah.
we're all at stake now. And so
Right.
we're even respecting each other more and treating each other better on the court, and knowing that like our future depends on everybody, being present,
Hmm.
being, having personalities, performing, and that we all have to come together and do it. So I do think that we're more of a real community and family, and that yeah, I mean, when we go on the court, it's who knows, but I do
Yeah.
think I am getting closer to some of the guys. I love Murcha. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Jose. I mean, I can name a ton of people that
Yeah.
that I respect so much.
Yeah. So that's a great transition. Let's talk about the National Pickleball League and what it means. You touched on this a little bit to the senior game, with obviously Major League Pickleball being the hot commodity of the last couple of years, and people just loving to watch it, loving to play it, and seniors not really getting an opportunity to be showcased in something like that. When we all know the high level of the senior pro game, if anybody's ever watched any of it, it's intense. It's great pickleball, and now it's going to be brought into a format that I think really, on some levels, plays to the senior game and the attitudes you all carry, because it's you're close, but at the same time, you've sort of you've had lives already. You're not playing
Right.
necessarily to make a living, and so I'm really interested to see how that dynamic plays into it as a comparison to people who are just kind of getting careers going, and so on and so forth. And so talk to me about the excitement of NPL and what your expectations really are about it.
Well, first of all, kudos to Rick Witskin, Michael Chen, Beth Bellamy, and
Mhm.
I'm sure I'm missing maybe Brian Levine. Um, but they were working behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden it popped up. So the fact that they are leaving a legacy, even if they
Mhm.
quit tomorrow, that
Right.
for the seniors, and like caring about who comes after us, because right now the state of pickleball is more of the whatever's in the moment for the amateur,
Right.
for the young pros, right? Everybody's trying to grab what they want, and there's going to be another, you know Ben Johns or something coming along in a few
Sure.
years, right? So everything's in the moment, and seniors are trying to think of the future. And
Right.
when Ben Johns becomes a senior, I mean, I'm sure he probably won't be playing, but it's just the point
Yeah.
that people are evolving and eventually will be that age. And so to have something for them is I like I said, kudos to them. But the NPL, my husband put it best, is it's kind of like the senior tour of golf, right?
Yeah.
Is that you've got so much talent there that still needs to be seen and still
Mhm.
needs to be celebrated. And one thing about when money gets involved in anything, right?
Mhm.
Especially pickleball, everybody was approachable, and now like the young pros, you won't even see them.
Yeah.
They kind
Yeah.
of have their own thing, and
Sure.
the senior tour, I mean, we want to be hands-on, we want to be personable, we want to make the pickleball exciting and fun and competitive, but yet have that interaction with the crowd and the spectators, and make it, make it so people come and have an experience instead of just buy a ticket and see, some great pickleball, but never even get close to learning about, learn about us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, your locations that you're playing, the Chicken and Pickle, I think is really conducive to everything you've just said. Obviously, people can grab food and drinks. It's an atmosphere that seems a little more intimate. I talk a little bit about your feelings about playing in a venue like that, and having that intimacy with the crowd. And we know the senior tour, the Champions Tour, doesn't lack any sense of personality, because there is a ton of personality on the men's and women's side. So talk about playing at the Chicken and Pickles a little bit.
Well, I think that the APP New York team event for the seniors was huge.
Right.
And it just, especially with people coming from tennis backgrounds, you're always on your own little island. You just never, you just don't have relationships. You don't know a lot of the players, and to be on a team and fight for each other and celebrate and get excited and roar and be playing for another reason other than yourself is, I think it's awesome. And I mean, that's something that I could, even when I'm done playing pickleball, it's something that, I could probably still partake in and just have a riot,
Yeah. It seems like it's built for your personality. It really does.
For me, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I'm goofy,
and Jose.
I like to dance, and
and Rick does, and Jose's wild too. So I think that's the thing. It's going to be a great product if when we get it in front of people, not only live, but when it starts to become streamed and things like that, and people get a sense of what the senior game is about, because it will have its own platform. And it won't get lost in the shuffle or be on a secondary stream. People can come in and view and get to know these players individually, like we know the Anna Lee Waters and the Ben Johns of the world. And I think that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about a little bit about the changing dynamic of pickleball. I mean, you've been in the sport now, 4 or 5 years. What has changed the most for you as far as the way the game is played, and just the overall landscape as far as the recognition of the game?
Yeah, it's crazy. I absolutely love it. I mean, I love the fact that everybody's playing it, and that it's so conducive to any body type, anything. It's just a great sport, and I think it really makes people happy. I mean, everybody's always happy, it's crazy. But, just like the younger people are getting more aggressive, the seniors are too, I mean, and it's, I mean, obviously we'll never get to their pace, but it's getting exciting out there, and very much more physical, much more athletic. It's not, so much tennis anymore. It's getting creative. It's being more of a chess game. And I love it. I love seeing that. I didn't join this sport to play tennis. I joined the sport to play pickleball. And I really don't want to just go to the bang bang game. I want to use my brain. I didn't really use my brain when I played tennis. I think they do now, but I didn't when I grew up. So,
New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want, from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle, it's the future. Part of it too is, I think people, at least if they get to see, an event, NPL event at a Chicken and Pickle, they'll have proximity, and I think they'll see, I don't think people get the idea necessarily of the power and the speed and the touch it requires at the level you're playing at, necessarily on a live stream. But if you're sitting at a venue and you're sitting at an intimate venue like a Chicken and Pickle, where you're right there, you get to see, I think, really the difficulty and the skill set it takes to play this game at a pro level.
Right. It's funny because Adam Stone was commentating one of the senior matches. I don't know, maybe it was New Jersey or something like that last year. And he was like, afterwards, he was like, kudos to seniors. Like, wow, like that was exciting. And, you know, obviously I have huge respect for Adam Stone, and, you know, for him to like acknowledge us because we don't, you know, the young people, you know, it's just, it is what it is. Right.
It is what it is, right.
You know, but for him to like acknowledge it, I don't know. I mean, not that I needed it, but it was like, thank you. Like, thank you. Like, I'm working really hard at this, you know?
Right. Well, they talked a little bit about that, him and Rob Nunnery on their last podcast or two. They talked about, I think Dane played in the open events, in the last tournament, the PPA. I think he played doubles, and they were with like
Althoff Merchant.
Yeah. They're like, listen, if you got to play those guys first round, you better have your head on. Like you better
absolutely.
Like they're talking. They're like, that's a game you don't, you know, because they're young. They're like, you don't want to lose that game, and you got to be ready to play that game.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because you know, they're going to bring it. And you know, if you think that they're like some old people that aren't going to move, like those guys have hands. I mean, those guys have power. And
right. Well, I've seen you on Tuesday Night Pickleball. You played Tuesday Night Pickleball. Didn't you play one of those events? And you did great. I mean, you're hanging with people, you and Rick, that are hanging with people that are, you know, top level pros. And if you look at Beth Bellamy playing with Anna Bright, and they did just fine. So I do think people are starting to realize that the 50 plus group, they can hang, and they can hang with a lot of pros at the open level. And I think that's only going to help you all when you get your own league going.
So I have to say, I think my favorite events are the mixed split and the women's split.
Yes.
Age,
I agree. Mine groups. Too.
And it's interesting because even though like, I'm like, oh my God, like this is going to go so fast. Like when I got out there, I felt like that's the speed I should be at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost feel like I mean, once you get out there, you do it, and you're like, God, I can do this. Like, this is exhilarating. You know, it's like, I mean, I'm going to be the setter, but like Callie was on my side, and we went 3 sets with Bellamy and Bright in the finals. And I mean, that ball was moving, and it was electrifying. I mean, I loved the pace.
Yeah. And I think
I wasn't like in a ball in the corner going, oh my God, you know what I'm saying?
No. And I saw that match, and you took a lot of chances and risks. You weren't just playing to keep the ball in and survive it. You were playing to win and taking chances.
Right. Yeah. You have to.
You do.
Absolutely.
And I think that says a lot about the type of player that the senior players are. As you know, one, there is something to be said about having a lifetime of experience, not only in life, but in other sports, and then in coming to this later in life, in knowing things that are like, well, you know what, I can take chances here. I've done things in life. I've accomplished things in life. This is all bonus. And you guys play like that. You do. And that's why I think it's fun, because it doesn't seem like there's anything, you have nothing to lose.
No. And you know what? It's a short term. You know, it is short term because the body is just not going to hold out.
Right.
And, you know, once, you know, obviously once I start losing a lot, it's not something I'm going to go travel and do, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because it's just, you know, I'm going to hopefully eventually have grandbabies, and, you know, it's like, what am I doing? But the fact that I get a chance to be young again. I mean, this is like to be in an environment where there's noise and just excitement, and people are happy to see you, and you're not just drying up in a corner someplace. And, you know, it's like to wake up and have a purpose every day, and, feel good about yourself and just sweat, like
Yeah.
sweat again. Like, God, I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't sweat for like 5 years or something. And it's just like when I picked up pickleball, it was like, God,
Yeah.
like it's like my body was saying, like, where have you been?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to have that
There's a gratefulness to
opportunity,
that.
there is. And it's like to have the opportunity to have goals and try to work towards something at this late time in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that gratefulness, just when I can tell when y'all get interviewed, you can sort of just feel that like we're still doing this, and and we're doing it really well. And look at the venues and the stadium courts you get to play at. I mean, you just talked about New York, you just recently about New York and Flushing Meadows and playing in a complex like that and getting to walk those grounds. And you're like, I'm still doing this, and I'm doing it at a high level in Indian Wells and all these great places too. So,
Yeah. And I mean, it's a chapter in my life that was unexpected.
yeah,
And, but like grateful. And so the
right on.
fact that like I'm adding this chapter in my life that will probably only last like 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
that it's like, God, I mean, I can say I did it. And I
You did
made
it.
I made friends that like I made a huge amount of friends, and I also
Yeah.
reunited. I mean, Beth Bellamy, who was Beth Her, and I
Mm-hmm.
played juniors together. I mean,
That's
it's like,
yeah.
I mean, the
I
fact
know.
that like I'm reuniting with people that grew up just like me, which was
Yeah.
not a normal existence,
Right.
and to kind of connect with them, even though after 40 years you don't see them, it's like we all live these lives, and to
Yeah.
be able to like have this life and then come back together after that, and like kind of go back into like who we were, it's just neat.
Yeah, I think it's neat. That's why I enjoyed watching a little bit of the next generation stuff that the APP did, where they had mentors that were senior players, because I think there's an unlimited amount of wealth and knowledge and wisdom there that young folks who are trying to, get their own foot into this game and, make their own name. For people who have done it in other sports and now are doing it in the sport that they're playing. I
Right.
just think that I think that the open players and the young players could learn a great deal from the seniors, in just the way they approach and the way you're really taking control of your own league. And
Yeah.
you're sort of kind of setting, you're setting groundwork for like maybe the way things will be done, or the way things should be done. I don't like to use that word, but I do think you're setting great examples and you're getting opportunities to do that.
Right. Well, I think, and I don't know if the top pros, if they have like their own mentors or not, but
Hmm.
they're so in the moment, and some of
Hmm.
their decisions um are momentary decisions
Sure.
and not
Sure.
looking at the big picture.
Right.
And they're learning. I mean, you
Yeah.
can tell they're learning. And hopefully they have good guidance or better guidance than they're having. But it's it's a journey,
Hmm.
and I realize there's a lot of money being dumped in right now, but if they play it right and
Hmm.
respectfully, and with character, and that they can really do something incredible and make
Yeah.
their monetary gains that much more. But I
Yeah.
think that it's like my kid. It's like he could only see the step in front of him, and now he's a
Yeah.
man and he can see 5 years down the road. It's
Right.
one of
Right.
those things. And I think that the seniors, you know, they've lived and they know
Yeah.
what tomorrow may bring, and they're
Right.
realistic, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And they know what respect and integrity and where that can take you in life and the avenues it can open up for you. And obviously, it makes you sleep better at night knowing that you did things right. So,
Right. And that's the thing is that, do what's right. Do what's right,
yeah. Right.
and
Absolutely.
a short loss will bring a long time gain,
Agreed.
and I think it goes with sponsors and it goes with the leagues, and just treat people well, do what's right,
Yeah.
and everything will, usually everything does,
Yeah.
come together
I
nicely.
think it works itself out. So let's talk. You brought up briefly. I like to always get some people's origin story. You brought up, playing with Beth years ago. I know you went to Northwestern. I went to Wisconsin. Go Big Ten. So let's talk.
Yay.
let's talk a little bit about your path and journey to get to where you are as a senior pro player.
Yeah.
Your origin story.
Well, I did the whole junior circuit, dabbled at some, pro events, blew out my shoulder in college. And basically, that was that. I was a top national player and did all that, those tournaments. I have to say that my first crush was Todd Witzkin, who was Rick No, seriously, Rick Witzkin. I was at the Easter Bowl in New York, and I would just stare at this guy. And he's probably like, who's that like ugly kid in the corner staring at me? But he was beautiful. Anyways, so but we were, that's life I lived. And then after college, I got married, but I met my husband on the paddle tennis court.
Oh yeah.
Platform tennis.
Yeah.
And so I started playing tournaments right away in that, and then went on to have children and quit. And then in my late 40s, late 30s, early 40s, I picked up tennis again.
Okay.
And won a couple national titles with Susie Mascarin, who is a good friend of mine, and she was a top tennis player. And then I went into paddle tennis again and competed in that for like a few years. And then did nothing for 5 years, nothing physically, because my mom got sick and I had to enter into the family business.
Sure.
And so I was doing nothing. And then my son left, my last son left, and I became an empty nester. And Susie sent me a pickleball paddle.
Oh, okay.
And said, hey, there's this Winter Garden tournament in 2 months. I signed us up for 4.5, figure out how to hit a third.
Oh, only 4.5.
Yeah. And she literally like basically gave me a gift, because she was like, you're not going to sit home and be all depressed that your kids are gone. You're going to go out. And she knows I'm like type A, and that I have to do things like 10 hours a day. And so she basically gave me the gift of just distraction. Right.
Yeah.
And so I went to the tournament, scared to death, could barely hit a third. And we did well. And then I just got obsessed, as everybody does.
Right.
And I, just tried to get better every day.
Yeah. Now you got a trainer probably. And I heard you do a little.
No. Yeah, no. But you know what? I actually was during COVID and that time, I got kind of out of shape and didn't really realize that I did, to tell you the truth. And because I've always been, since I was married, I've always been pretty thin. And I had put some weight on, and, change of life and everything.
Sure.
So now I worked with a trainer for a year, and
right on.
dropped like almost 15 pounds, and really working on like my footwork and just trying to physically be better to go into my 60s. It's not even for pickleball. It's really, I want to go into 60s feeling like a rock star,
right on,
as best I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So that being said, let's wrap it up. What are your goals for this season? And talk about your sponsors when you're done there. Yeah.
So my goals, I'm not going for any points. I'm not going for any rankings. I'm not doing anything. Because everything's been up in the air with the APP, and the PPA really doesn't have anything for seniors. And we have the MPL. It's really just a tournament by tournament year. Yeah. I'm playing with different people. I'm super excited to play with Althoff Merchant. We have the majority of the tournaments together.
There's some energy right there.
I'm playing with Dave Furman this weekend at Boca. Jose and I have 4 or 5. So it's I'm super excited about just having different partners. And like I said, my goal is always that every day I get better. And if I do that, I'm at peace. So one thing that is dwindling, that is sponsorship for the seniors. So I do want to give a huge shout out to my sponsors, because they don't have to sponsor seniors, and they can put their money elsewhere, and they are still pumping us up. And so Engage Pickleball brought me on as a 4.5, And they have to this day been my main sponsor and have backed me through everything. So, and not only that, but I mean, I'm not saying this just to say it, but the Pursuit is just an awesome paddle. And I mean, thankfully they just make amazing paddles. So
they do.
And then my other sponsor that just came on is NPC, who is National Pickleball Center, where the US Open is held.
Oh, right.
And they've just rebranded themselves. And I live literally right next door to them, and it's great. So Bob Stroman's doing a great job, and then My Air Feet does a lot of seniors. They sponsor Murcha and Rick Witzkin, and I use their insoles on everything. And then PB 1965, my clothing. So I really, really, really cherish the fact that they've stuck around and that they believe in us and they see a future for seniors. So,
and you're showing them a future by, you guys are expanding, obviously, your brand and the way you play the game, because now you're playing in a team concept, which I mentioned way at the beginning is really the hot item for pickleball. People love
it's going to bring a lot of attention to seniors, but it will bring a lot of attention to the sponsors. And though, the people that watch us are the people that have the money. And
Absolutely.
And if that's what they're looking for, are sales, then we're where it's at, right? I mean, so I think it's a good investment. But
absolutely. And it's a high quality game and I watch a ton of senior ball because I'm a senior myself and I'm only looking to get better. So I watch particular players. You're one of them. And I take notes. And so I'm a big fan, and hopefully meet you all sometime in person at I
would love that.
Event. Yeah. So
I would love that. I would love that.
Right on. Hey, thank you, Eva, for your time, and best of luck this season. Awesome start. Congratulations. And look forward to watching you play all season.
Thank you so much. I really have enjoyed our time together.
Okay, folks, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the interview. You can check out links in the description for Eva's sponsors and any other pertinent information. Until next time, hey, let's pickle. New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL. Great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want, from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle. It's the future.